This was the moment his soul left his body when Charles Blow first mentioned executive overreach, and he made his little ad. What's the saying? Do you want to see a dead body? Do you want to see someone's soul just leak right out of their body on live television? Last night, Charles Blow, a liberal commentator, a liberal columnist, I think he is, had a little moment with Scott Jennings on CNN, on Abby Phillip and her show. And look, I don't like talking as much about Scott Jennings. I try to avoid it as much as possible, much to the chagrin of the audience because they love it. You guys love it. But he's gross and stupid and just flagrantly cultish. We know that he used to be someone who spoke out against Donald Trump, and we know who he is now, that he absolutely just has spread himself open, legs open wide, prostrating himself before Donald Trump, spread eagle for Donald Trump to do his best. Do your worst, Mr. President, says Scott Jennings on a daily basis. So yesterday, when this exchange began to happen on CNN, when I watched this clip, it was a moment that I wanted to share with you, where Charles Blow really artfully gets him to say he doesn't agree with a certain thing, and then reads to him something that he himself had written, that Scott Jennings himself had written about Donald Trump. You see, Scott Jennings, like so many others who used to be moderate Republicans, decent Republicans, thoughtful Republicans, like J.D. Vance, used to say that Donald Trump was America's Hitler, that Donald Trump was appealing to the worst among us, that he was a con man and a con artist and all these things that all these people who now worship Donald Trump, they have retracted. And the reason that you're going to hear him, that when he says, he freezes in the moment, like, oh shit, what am I going to say here? But after he gains his composure and starts to make excuses for the thing he once believed or wrote that he believed, he doesn't really address the fact that the justifications he's giving for his change of heart were the same justifications that were being given during the first administration. It's all a lot to take. Watch this, and then we'll talk about the different elements of this on the other side.
You're describing illegal immigration, which has been around for a long time, as an invasion, which is fine for you if you want to do that. But why is that unusual that there's a process to go through to deport people? I mean, that's actually just how the system works.
Do you know how long it takes for this process, this paperwork to get people out? The guy that we've all been weeping and gnashing teeth over, the guy we sent to El Salvador, was in the country 14 years illegally.
But what about what
We've got millions of people who have gamed this system, and now we're going to give it some more.
Either you believe in the Constitution or you don't.
Let's stop it right there where Charles Blow says, you either believe in the Constitution or you don't. And then we'll re-rack the clip just before he says it again. Because this is important. That Scott Jennings, and this is beside the point. I stopped the clip. I didn't plan to stop it. What they're making the argument right now that it's too difficult to adhere to the Constitution of the that the rules that the Constitution sets forth, the rule of law, the thing that they constantly talk about, that the Constitution makes it too hard to follow the Constitution. That's what they're saying. And Charles Blow gets ready to say what he's going to say to Scott Jennings in a chef's kiss moment that needed to be signal boosted. Watch this.
Either you believe in the Constitution or you don't.
I believe in the sovereignty of the United States, or you don't.
But
So you don't believe in the
believe in the Constitution?
I believe in the sovereignty of the United States, and I believe we've been
And you don't
invaded.
believe that Donald
Can I
Trump
just ask a
should
question?
abide by the Constitution?
Just a serious question.
Of course I do. And of course I believe.
Do you believe that he does?
And I believe that he will follow, just as he said, what the Supreme Court says. But the policy debate is worth
From
having.
the very beginning,
millions
of Trump,
upon millions of people are
Trump
here, and they will not leave, and he has to get them out.
always
I agree with you with
believed
that, Scott.
in executive
Hold on a
overreach.
second. Let me just let her
Always.
finish.
From the very beginning, from 2016, he has believed in executive overreach. We've all seen that. He said it. It was clear. Are you saying now that you don't believe that he believes in executive overreach?
I believe that he believes his mandate from the American people is to solve illegal immigration. And I would ask you the same question in reverse. Did Joe Biden, when he said he would faithfully uphold and execute the laws of this land, not mean it when he decided to let millions upon millions of people into the country? Because he did not execute the laws.
I thought that you were going to squirm out of that question.
I'm not squirming.
Yes, you did. And that's why I prepared for it, because I want to read you something. At the core of Trump's candidacy is a call for greater executive authority with willful disregard for the constitutional limits placed on our chief executive. Trump especially promises to force individual companies to do things he wants them to do, or else he promises punishment to those who displease him, which appeals to the miserable man at the airport bar. Do you recognize that?
Yeah, I wrote it.
Exactly.
And here's the deal.
He hasn't changed, so what has changed about you?
And here's the difference between then and now. This country has been invaded. The president was elected
so
to end the invasion.
So you changed your opinion on the Constitution?
My opinion is the president needs to pull every lever he can to solve illegal immigration.
So you've answered that question by saying you don't mind him being unconstitutional.
And Scott Jennings does not mind Donald Trump being constitutional, as he just intimated. Now, there's two things here. One, the face that this was the moment his soul left his body is when Charles Blow first mentioned executive overreach, and he made his little seizure smirk mark. The other element of this is when he talks about invasion, when Scott Jennings says the reason Donald Trump can trample the Constitution and do anything he wants and overreach as an executive officer of this country is because there's been an invasion. Although it doesn't really wash, it doesn't hold water, because of the fact that when Donald Trump first took office, he was talking about invasion. He was using the same exact language as he does now. And then Scott Jennings wrote the way he did about Donald Trump. So the same excuses are being made about invasion this, invasion that. It's all lies and propaganda in order to oppress brown and poor people in this country. We're already seeing American citizens held at gunpoint and detained for a week and a half in some cases, 10 days, 2 weeks. American citizens being forced to show your papers, prove you're an American citizen. That is executive overreach, Scott Jennings, and you wrote about it. You once believed it was, and now because you're being paid from CNN, you're making money. There's money to be made. Being a MAGA troll, you'll say whatever. You'll defend whatever. You'll be a traitor to the Constitution of the United States for it. Because apparently you're being paid just that well, that you're willing to be treasonous against the rule of law in this country. It's too hard to follow the Constitution. The Constitution makes it too hard. No, it does not. The burden is on the government, and it's that way by design. So that the human beings are not trampled upon by the power and weight of the government. That's why you have the presumption of innocence, that you can't be compelled to testify against yourself, that the burden of proof is on the government. That burden is on the government for a reason. So you don't have idiots like Donald Trump and Scott Jennings saying, well, the Constitution makes it too hard to follow the Constitution. Disgraceful, disloyal is what these people are. Anyway, what do you think? I invite you to this conversation. You can comment below. You can also call the voicemail line, 714-576-4054. Email me daily@dollemore.com. Consider supporting the work. You can become a channel member. Go to my Patreon page. Go to dollemore.com. Follow me on social media. I am @Dollemore, and I will see you next time. Be genuine. Take care of one another.